Welcome to Best Kept Secrets Travel, episode 23. My name's Morgan.
And I'm Will, and on today's episode we are doing part 2 of Slovenia. It is our deep dive in Slovenia, so if you haven't seen part 1, we recommend going back an episode to watch part 1 because it flows perfectly into this episode. So, first thing to do is to roll the intro.
Best friends, and that's for life. Who stay traveling? I'm talking worldwide. 65 countries between the two. Every moment is so unbelievable. Sharing the best kept secrets about the trips and mistakes they made that they can't forget. So tell me if you're ready for a time to remember as they gear up for the next adventure. Yeah. Woo! Best kept secrets travel.
Before we start rolling into the deep dive of this episode, we really want to thank everyone who's been following us recently on our amazing TikTok account. We have so many followers coming in recently. We have more people than ever listening to us on our podcast all around the world. We are well over 50 countries now.
I think we're 60 last time I checked, actually.
That's well over 50 countries.
That is well over 50. Good 20%.
And if you're not following us on those platforms, we've got TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and loads of different podcast platforms where you can listen, leave us a lovely review.
It's not hard to
download
leave a
all our
review
episodes because
either.
it also helps plant some trees around the world. For every 50 downloads, we will plant a tree. For every 100 subscribers on YouTube, we will also plant a tree.
And that just, you're saving the planet just by following us. That sounds like such a great deal. And now we're going to start this episode off by going into a breakdown of the best things to see in Slovenia. And the first thing we're going to talk about is visiting the Postojna caves in Ljubljana. The incredible Posthumour Caves and the castle of Triglav are some of the best things to see in Slovenia. You can take a day trip to do both of them, the Posthumour Caves from Ljubljana, and you can get transport on the entrance to see this magical underground world and the striking medieval Triglav castle. So it's like one of those big, interesting, old medieval things to go see.
The other amazing thing to see is the mercury mine in Idrija. When it was still operating, mercury mine in Idrija was the second largest mercury mine in the world.
It's pretty big.
Now, it's an excellent museum that takes visitors underground and introduces them to the life of Slovenian miners. The entrance of the museum is through Anthony's Main Road, which was built in the 16th century and is one of the oldest mine shaft entrances in Europe. The historical importance of the mercury mine shaft in Idrija is the reason that the mine was added to the UNESCO World Heritage List
UNESCO World Heritage
in 2012.
Oh,
Have you ever been in a mine?
I feel like I have, but not any notable mines. Not a mine like this. Have you?
Not one like. I went into an absolutely enormous coal mine in Ireland. Just went on for kilometres into the cliff face.
Oh,
That was weird.
Oh, I have. In Moldova, the largest and the second largest wine cellars in the world that are hundreds of kilometres long
Old mine
used to be old Soviet mine shafts. Yeah. So I have.
You have.
I
It
have.
is strange.
That was cool. It is. It's an interesting experience, especially when you actually sit back and think how big it is.
I don't know if I'd even call it claustrophobia because of how weird it is. Because you're so far under.
Mm. Yeah, it's a strange feeling, and I mean, where I went in Moldova was actually, it felt quite homely. Also had the largest wine tasting room in the world. But we will do a Moldovan at which Putin had his 50th birthday. But
Lovely.
yeah, that's
Shame it didn't collapse on him.
Yeah, we won't talk about that. So the next thing we're going to talk about, and this is, when you think of Slovenia, is one of the highest things that people go and see. Actually, probably not that high, but it's one of the best things people go and see. And we mentioned it in the episode before, and it is, of course,
The Bleeding Lake.
Lake Bled. The stunning picture of the fairy tale island church, or the Church of Assumption of Maria, sits in the middle of the Lake Bled in a picturesque setting. There are plenty of things to do in Bled. You can take a walk along the promenade enjoying the views. You can go boating on the Lake Bled and visit the beautiful island church on the traditional Pletna boats. You can also visit Bled Castle, which sits on a cliff overlooking Lake Bled. Unsurprisingly, lots of things are either overlooking or on Lake Bled. It kind of makes sense, doesn't it? The castle has several buildings, museums, cafe and souvenir shop. The castle can be reached through a set of stairs along the lake promenade, and you can go hiking to the Ostrika viewpoint, which is also a very popular Instagram spot, which often offers a picture-perfect view of Lake Bled and the island church. And this is one of those places that it's cool to go and experience in different seasons, because in winter you get the beautiful snow, sometimes it freezes, and you get the snow-capped mountains in the background with the church glistening on the island, and then in the summer you get the beautiful sun and all the beautiful colours, and the water moves, because it's, well, water. It's like walking into a winter wonderland or a fairy tale. Winter in Lake Bled means outdoor recreation. Some years the lake freezes over and you can rent skates at the park, restaurant and the cafe. After sliding around on the ice, you can get some hot chocolate and a slice of Bled's favourite cream cake. Warms you right up. The castle is open all year round and ripe for exploring without the crowds. Well, you get to go without the crowds in winter, which makes sense for these big touristy time places.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Nearby, there are opportunities for cross-country skiing, snowshoeing, alpine skiing in Triglav National Park. Sounds very exciting. And it is, as I said, like the number one thing.
Really irritates me that it's called Lake Bled and the water's not red.
Well, seeing as there are like pink lakes and things
They
like
should
that,
do a horror film based around
where the
Lake
lake
Bled.
actually bled.
Not where the lake bled, but
Well,
you
no,
know,
just have a massacre in the lake.
yeah, maybe vampire film or
Vampire
something.
film.
And it's where they used to
So
stick
like
all their victims or something.
Lesbian
grim like that.
Vampire Diaries 7. Or what is
Yep.
that, a film?
Lesbian Vampire Diaries is.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah,
Lesbian Vampire Killers was, I think.
potentially.
I think you were saying Lesbian Vampire Diaries because that's Vampire Diaries. I think it was Lesbian Vampire Killers, which was the James Corden film.
Yeah, I think that's what I was trying to reference.
Is Lake Bled...
Enough talking about lesbian vampires.
Is Lake Bled cooler than, or as cool as Lake Jasna, though? Lake Jasna is one of Slovenia's most beloved gems. The sparkling green and blue
It is
water
more
is
of a hidden
surrounded by tree-covered hills and lush valleys. Peaking above the lake in the background are the snow-covered Slovenian Alps, which add to the already breathtaking scenery. There are plenty of activities to keep you occupied during the visit to the lake. You can rent canoes, go for a swim, or even dive off the wooden diving board.
You could drive off the wooden diving board.
You could try and drive off it. It probably won't go so well. But be careful because the water can be quite icy, even on a hot day.
Ooh.
So please be careful.
So Lake Jasna sounds like it has pristine views. No?
I think that undersells it.
That undersells it.
No, it's better than pristine. Heavenly.
Heavenly views.
Better than the pearly gates themselves.
Better than the pearly gates. Now that is a big call. And it does sound like it is
took
very...
a lot of oysters to make the pearly gates. Sorry, slight tangent there.
How many... Okay, interview question. How many oysters did it take to make the pearly gates?
I'll have to get back to you on that.
Okay, well, have a think about
Depends
it.
how big the pearly gates are.
And it's... Well, how... That...
Right, we're not going on to that.
The next... I'm going to say 4,500.
Oh, way more.
Why? Franja Partisan Hospital. Franja Hospital served as the partisan hospital during World War II. Located at Posthumour Gorge, it was hidden from the enemy and saved the lives of many men and women. After the war, Franja became a museum and open to visitors until a devastating flood in 2007. Luckily, the hospital was reconstructed, and the new hospital is almost an exact replica of the old hospital. Now the 14 cabins form the Franja Partisan Hospital are once again open to the visitors. It's a shame that it's not the real thing, but it's very nice that they actually took the time and spent the money to rebuild it, and hopefully some flood defences as well.
Why is it a shame it's not the real thing?
Well, it's nice to see the real thing as opposed to the replica version.
Personally, I don't mind seeing a replica because it means that the war's finished.
Yeah, but the war was finished. It was only destroyed in 2007.
Oh, the flood. Yeah, but, I slightly zoned out.
Did you miss that?
Yeah.
Oh,
We can edit that part out.
Oh,
I'm completely
dear.
zoned out. I was reading the notes,
You need a drink.
I need more of a drink, yeah.
More of a drink. Well, this is a...
Hospitals can be quite sad and gloomy, though, to visit.
Yeah,
It's not personally my number one thing to go and see.
No.
Who are you mentioning?
I've just thought of something for us for after, and I was making a note of it. But anyway, the next things we're going to talk about is a breakdown of the best activities.
You might need to call AA or RAC now.
Because we've broken down.
I love that you explained the joke, Morgan.
Well,
For our international listeners.
for the international listeners, I needed to
It's car
explain the
breakdown
joke.
service for anyone who's listening. One of the best activities you can do in Slovenia is
One.
to hike in the Alps on the Juliana Trail. For less experienced adventurers, a hike in the Alps feels very extreme and quite daunting. I know lots of people who get scared or worried about the thought, and you should rightly be, but certain trails can be good for all levels. Slovenia is a haven for trekking of every variety and level, from hardcore mountaineering to very relaxed walks, surrounded by completely astounding epic scenery. The compromise is the Juliana Trail, which is a 168-mile loop that follows the contours of the Triglav National Park,
So your mum could
which is
probably do that
tucked
in a
into the
couple days.
country's northwest Julian Alps. Potentially. Have your cameras ready, though. Always have your camera ready. Be ready, have your camera ready. And a quick side note for a best kept secret for that is if you do have a more compact DSLR, or you
Or a mirrorless
use a...
Because mirrorless are a bit smaller.
Yeah, some of the mirrorless, like the M50 Mark II, is very small. You can get a backpack strap mount for your camera,
Oh, yes,
which
so
is
it's up here.
very easy
Beautiful.
to flick your camera on and off. And a lot of hiking and adventure photographers will walk around with those. So I highly recommend one of those.
That is a good recommendation.
Little best kept secret snuck in there. The iconic overnight locales like
You can just say the overnight locals.
no, that's not what it is. It's talking about the locations.
We'll say locales then.
The iconic locations along this walk, like the peak encircled Lake Bled and the massive Alpine Lake Bochind. The vast majority of the trails, 16 stages, are
Okay.
relatively flat. 16, but let's
For
be honest.
168 miles.
Yeah, but you actually want to take it in.
Yeah, that's true.
You want to enjoy it. There's no point rushing something like this and just staring at the ground or just thinking about pain. You want to take the time in the day to properly photograph it, or if you have an amazing site, make that your biggest break and where you have a lunch, or you want to take in such an amazing walk. There's no need for...
Has your brain died?
Yeah, I completely misread that.
I think
Other than a backpack, very nice, good, solid hiking boots, and a can-do, good attitude, you don't really need any specialist equipment.
and Imodium.
Morgan's favourite. The walk is categorised generally as easy or moderate, especially seeing as you're breaking up from 16 stages. So you're only doing just over 10 miles a day.
Yeah.
Which
10 and a
is
half.
pretty easy. Yeah, 10.5 miles a day. Which is fairly easy. The highest elevation on the walk is only reaching around 4,350 feet. It's not too bad.
It's not
Actually, not that high at all.
No.
Which means that you shouldn't need to be worried about altitude sickness or anything like that, which will generally start to hit most people
Yeah.
above, typically I'd say 2,800, 3,000 meters is when you'll start to really feel it. You'll start to feel walking harder at least above 2,000 to 2,500. You'll just generally, the ocean. But some people do naturally feel that altitude much lower, but that's dependent on your breathing, your actual just general fitness and red blood cell levels, and also your age does impact all of that.
And we're just going to quickly go back to the Posthumour Cave as an activity as well, because there are 15 miles of tunnels of stalagmites, stalactites that were carved millions of years ago by the Pivka River. And you can do... they also hold tours and events and concerts in the cave, which is quite cool. And they have this unique feature, which is the Underground Railway. The 150-year-old train takes you through different rooms, halls, corridors of the mysterious cave. And you'll also get to see the towering skyscraper, otherwise known as the 20-foot tall stalagmite. But it's quite cool.
Pretty big.
It's reasonably big. I'd say it's like...
It's 4 of me.
yeah, that's
tall. You said 24 feet, didn't you?
No.
You said 20 foot.
Will is 5 foot.
I'm now 5 foot tall. I'm sure out loud you said 24 foot.
Potentially.
It's 20 foot stack.
Podcast listeners, tell us about the 24 or 20
and
foot.
hit us up in our Discord. We don't have a Discord. We
No,
don't have a Discord.
no,
Not yet.
not yet. So hit us up on our Patreon.
We don't have one of those.
No. TikTok?
Yeah,
What-
we have one of those.
Yeah, what's the TikTok?
The best kept secret travels.
No,
It is.
it's just best kept secrets travels.
Best kept secrets travels with no spaces in it is our TikTok. Give us a follow, a like, share all of our videos,
Or
pump them up.
you could look at our hashtag and type this in because it's a bit shorter. BKS travel. It's just a bit easier.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
That
So
is.
do you like hiking?
I do like hiking.
Where do you like to hike?
I really like hiking, Morgan. All over the place. But I specifically like the idea of hiking in
could you tread on my
Slovenia.
back, please?
In the Not right now, not during the podcast. In the Vintner Gorge. If you're in Bled, which is the area where Lake Bled is, be sure to hike the Vintner Gorge.
That's logical.
As the Vintner Gorge is short but is a spectacular hike located just 3 miles northwest of Bled. Tourists and locals alike flock to this picturesque area to escape the bustling town. And at the start of the hike, you'll marvel at the massive limestone walls covered in moss that tower above you and make you feel small.
Oh,
Further along the gorge narrows a narrow... That makes no sense.
wrong page. Morgan. But then we'll go narrow and
Further along the gorge, as it narrows, you'll see slim wooden walkways have been constructed to allow visitors to continue the trek while the powerful river rushes underneath your feet.
oh,
Along the way, you'll pass several small waterfalls as well as an impressive stone railway bridge overhead that was constructed in 1906. At the end of the hike, you'll come to a suspension bridge that crosses the 40-foot high Sum waterfall. Be sure to descend the stairs behind the ticket office and cross to the platform at the base of the falls for the best viewpoint. The hike is only 2 miles round trip and should take around 90 minutes. This is because one of the terrain and the walkways that you have to, but also make sure you do stop and actually take it in. Once again, some of these walks out there, you just stop thinking about, oh yeah, we know we can walk these kilometers or miles quicker. Actually enjoy the walk and enjoy that journey to the destination. Don't just think about the destination. Same as when we hiked to Machu Picchu, the journey to us was the best part.
100%.
Walking along the railway lines and playing with coins and seeing all the
Lost
different...
City trek in Colombia, same
The
thing.
wild horses randomly at 4,000 metres high.
That was cool.
All the laughter and all the silly stuff we got up to with our group. So many people don't think about that being
part.
such a key part and being the fun.
And it's
But
also,
it really is, and I think that takes away from people's experience of that.
and it's also the only part that's actually unique. Like, that journey is unique to you. The experiences you have on that journey is unique to you. No one else is going to have the wild horse cross you or things like that, or
Someone slipping over and falling in mud or into like a tiny stream, tiniest stream you're crossing, and somehow someone falls into it. Or even when the guy caught the chicken.
The chicken!
We were just there jokingly sat about to spend the night having a beer, and we just said, oh, it'd be so funny if someone got that chicken. He went to the toilet, came back, and literally had the chicken in his hand. That's individual to your journey.
Thank you, you know who you are.
And to your experience. You know exactly who you are listening and watching this.
Because you listen.
Individual to your experience. Whereas when you get to that destination,
from Canada.
when you get to that destination, sadly, a lot of people will know what that's like. A lot of people have been to Machu Picchu, but no one in the world other than your group will ever experience that exact identical journey that you've done. So really taking that part.
I was also going to say you're one of the fastest walkers I know.
I am a fast walker. But then I also know when to stop and actually just take it in.
Was that because of altitude sickness?
I'd literally come from sea level to 3,000 metres to see you, and everyone else had been at altitude. Most people in the group would
South
have.
African girl hadn't, I don't think.
Yes, she had. She'd been around.
I thought she was... Oh,
She
yeah,
hadn't
no,
just
she
flown
came,
there.
she was just struggling.
I think a lot of people in that group wouldn't have done what I did. But in my head, I hate the stop-start. I'd rather do a slow, constant plod.
Yeah. Yeah, because I had
Well, that's
12
that's my
hours
altitude, though. But
on the
that's
altitude,
just how I've trained the altitude side of it. But even if I had one more full day just in Cusco, just to acclimatise, would have made an enormous difference.
Yeah, exactly, because I didn't even have a full day. I had about 2/3 of a day more than you in Cusco. So I arrived in the evening and then socialised.
As a quick note, just on the end of that point of this amazing gorge, is the entrance fee is €5 per person to enter the area as of this podcast being done. So if it's changed, please don't get angry at us. It's not our fault. Do your own research.
And the next on our list is Cycling with Champions. Slovenia has become the capital of the world. For cycling. Over the last handful of years, Slovenes have won the last 2 Tour de France races, the last 3 Tours of Spain, and 2 of the last 3 Tours of Slovenia. They don't even win their own one the whole time. And they took gold and bronze cycling medals at the 2020 Summer Olympics. The reason for such dominance is the roads and the landscapes here are perfect for developing champions. And you can discover this training ground and the culture surrounding it on the new Slovenian road cycling loop. Though any bike can be used on the route, which stays on the quiet asphalt roads, the stages focus cycling on basically riding more racing and road bikes or triathlon bikes. But if you like cycling, it's definitely the place to go. We mentioned this in part 1, but one of our comments we had from a listener was that the roads in Slovenia were amazing. So if you like cycling, this is definitely something that you should look at doing.
Do you recommend?
Yeah.
Horses.
Who?
Horses for courses. Galloped with history
What food?
in Lipica. For more than 440 years, Lipizzaners were strong and famously white horses, which have been bred in Lipica, which is a town in Slovenia's Karst region, in the country's southwestern corner. One of the continent's oldest breeds, there are some 300 that roam the grounds of the Lipica stud farm, which was named a Slovenian cultural monument in 1996.
Oh, interesting.
Stroll the grounds and snap photographs of the friendly animals as they trot through and herded across 300 hectares of field. Take a guided tour of the farm to visit the museums and the stables, and then stick around for the Lipica riding school performance. I do like wild horses. Well, they're not 100% wild, but they're allowed to roam.
I think this would be quite cool to see. And I bet they're quite impressive looking.
Best kept
horses.
secret in there for anyone who can't go to Slovenia,
Oh,
whether it's due to funds or time, or you don't really fancy going, but you'd like to do something like this.
Or
I do
you're from
really
Mars and
recommend
it's a bit
going
far
to.
away.
Really recommend going to the New Forest, and there are a few pubs around there
much better
where
than the
there are
Old Forest.
loads of wild horses. So you can be sat at the pub, at a table, and a horse will just come straight up to you,
Also,
and they're just walking along the roads. So please drive carefully.
can you remember where we did the Spartan race?
West Sussex.
West Sussex. So somewhere in West Sussex, there are also lots of wild horses because
I
they
think it was just past Ashdown Forest.
because they told us that the wild horses are not the obstacles that we're meant to climb over.
I agree.
I distinctly remember that. And we'll move on to a breakdown of the best experiences. And Will's getting quite excited because number one on this list is...
Drink the world's oldest wine, Vino.
There's a vintage wine that is a setting vintage wine. Basically, it's one of the oldest vines in the world. But to sample the latter, you head to the old vine house in Maribor, Slovenia's second largest city in the country's northeast corner, and the wine growing up the house's facade is more than 4 centuries old and holds a spot in the Guinness Book of Records for the oldest fruit-producing vine. Keep getting vine and wine mixed up.
And it'd be really impressive if it was if the vine itself could fruit pick there, Morgan, as well.
Yeah, that is true. So it holds a spot in the Guinness Book of World Records for the oldest fruit-producing vine. Yes! Have a seat on the house's terrace and taste this ancient red variety and many others that the shop offers.
Not gonna lie,
I want to go.
of all the wine I've drunk, Slovenian wine is... I don't know if I've ever drunk Slovenian wine.
Do you want to go?
I think it'd be fun.
It'd be an experience.
Hey,
I
they
don't know
got Guinness
whether
World
I'd like
Record,
it, but yeah.
and I'm always up for experience. You got to try it. Why not? It could end up being really nice.
Iron Man, do you want to experience, try it?
I want to be Iron Man. I don't want to do an Iron Man.
So, yeah. Grammar.
Yeah. That thing.
Who?
We've spoken about mines. What's similar to a mine?
Wine.
A cave. A Scotchen cave. The World Heritage listed Scotchen caves are breathtaking. You'll think that you stepped into a fairy tale. The vast underground systems of tunnels, channels, lakes and waterfalls is the largest in Europe. It's formed over millions and millions of years ago by the flow of the Reka River and has been a tourist destination for centuries. Archaeologists have even found a prehistoric settlement deep within inside the cave system, and you can take a guided tour of the Scotchen Caverns throughout the year. During these tours, you'll explore the silent cave, the murmuring cave, the natural bridge, the Great Hall, as well as massive rock formations, old riverbeds, and some amazing bat colonies.
Sounds pretty cool.
I wonder if they ever bring in any choirs or opera singers in there.
Oh, I love it when they do that.
Because in Ireland, I went to a cave system there, and they'd recently even had someone get married there, but they were limited because of the size of the cave to something like 30 people.
Oh, wow.
And then they were asked to do a recording with this massive stalagmite in the background and all the limestone wall behind them of a choir with an opera singer. And that must have sounded so
That must have been
good.
so impressive.
But this sounds pretty cool. I wonder what a murmuring cave is. Do you reckon it just keeps making a dripping noise or something weird?
Yeah.
Or there's like wind going through.
Or it's wind. Yeah, I'd say it's wind. Yeah.
Like that.
Exactly. And you can also watch wildlife in the Dinaric Alps. In the peak summer months, May to August, it's possible to see brown bears roaming grassy wilderness in the Dinaric Alps. There are approximately 400 living in the region, and a number of tours are available to help you spot and photograph these creatures in their home. It goes without saying you'll need a guide to get the most out of the experience. Or just Khabib if you want to fight one. And the Dinaric Alps also offer prime bird watching opportunities with over 276 species in the area, and there are over 100 butterflies that can be seen too. Just 100 butterflies, not,
I was
not
about to say
100
100 species.
Not 100 butterfly species.
Just 100 butterflies.
Yeah, amazing.
Which can be seen. Your chances are really small.
Yeah. Another of Slovenia's Great Lakes, Lake Cerknica, pools into existence for 8 months of the year. The protected wetland is incredibly biodiverse, and it comes with more potential wildlife sightings. Now this next one Will's going to talk about, I'm very excited about, and I'd really like to do.
Ljubljana's Ljubljana has a hostel.
Hotel.
It's a hostel.
Oh, nice.
Silica.
Silica. Do you know what it is?
Is this the prison? Oh, let's see. Telepathic. Have you been here? No, you haven't. Well, do you want to go here?
Yes.
Why?
Yes.
Before I read it out, how badly do you want to go there? And
I'm worried about
it's
what
funny
you're gonna
that
say
you
next.
want to go to a hostel that badly,
I like staying in hostels.
because most people don't want to stay in a prison cell, Morgan, because it might sound a little bit like a nightmare, but Hostel Silica
dreams.
is more like a dream set in
Exactly.
the art meets grunge, Metalakova, Mesta area, or in Ljubljana. Cells from a military prison have been transformed into individual cell rooms designed by local and international artists. This could be one of the most interesting hostels you stay at. It was a prison for 100 years. In 1991, the building sat in an abandoned.
Sat abandoned. We'll go for.
In 1991, the building sat abandoned. While local artists fought hard to preserve the building, the local government tried to transform the prison into usable space. The dark side of the prison can be seen in the hostel's Museum of Confinement, located in the basement. This area
And that's just the private rooms.
This area was once housed the solitary and confinement cells.
Mm-hmm.
Shock.
Yeah.
The museum is actually located symbolically right under the point of peace on the 3rd floor, going from dark at the bottom to light at the top of the space. You won't regret it. Hostel Silica offers both dorm and private rooms, so you can choose whether to bunk up or go at it alone. But you cannot pick a particular cell. The idea is that prisoners didn't get to pick their cells, so neither should you.
See, does that interest you?
See, same as hospitals. I've got a weird thing about prisons. I'm interested going round them. Like, I'm fascinated.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to stay in one.
Well, so what we heard about...
I'd do something there. I'd do an activity or...
Well, what Ben said was it's actually a lot nicer than you expect it to be.
Still a prison.
Well, it's not anymore. It's a hostel. As you rightly corrected me.
But it's still a prison.
Hostel.
But its experience and what's happened in that space was a prison.
That is true.
But we don't know what type of prison it was. Well, it was a military prison, but we don't know if it was holding specific people.
Well, that's where you've got to go to the museum to find out.
I don't know. There's a hotel in Cornwall, which is an old prison. It's in Bodmin, which is just south of Padstow and Polzeath. Best kept secret for all you out there. And that's quite cool. But that's really quite
Have you
high
been
end.
to it?
No, it's only opened quite recently, and that's super high end.
As in the prison only shut down recently, or the hotel only opened recently?
Hotel opened recently, but that's really high end rooms, en suites, everything, and looks quite slick. But they've kept it so that each of the cells, I think they might have merged 2 cells together, but they're now just big rooms. It's quite cool.
That does sound quite interesting. So moving on to our next experience, skiing in Kranjska Gora. Slovenia is one of the best places to ski in Europe, with friendly, kind instructors and really affordable skiing. It's a wonderful place to get on the slopes. Kranjska Gora, which was almost a fairy tale-like in appearance, and a great location for beginners and intermediates in particular to learn to ski. The pitch-perfect market is in the centre and has many places to eat, including opportunities to try the local dumplings and hearty Slovenian stews. Kranjska Gora is also ideally placed as a day trip into Ljubljana or even Venice, which breaks up the time on the snow. Sounds quite cool, and it's quite a cheap place to go skiing as well.
Sounds pretty cool.
Sounds pretty cool.
Sounds pretty cool. Or you could do some adventure sports in Soccer Valley. Soccer Valley is an adrenaline junkie's dream. It's technically still part of the Triglav National Park, but stretches west beyond the park to the Italian border. Head to the city of Bovec, the starting point for most adventure sports in the area. One of the most common activities to do is whitewater rafting on the Soccer River, which is known as one of the most beautiful rivers in the world for its bright blue-green waters. And the Soccer River also has rapids for excellent rafting. There's several waterfalls and gorges hike around and explore, like the beautiful Tolmin gorges or the Kozjak waterfall. When it comes to outdoor activities, the options here are endless. Other exciting pursuits include canyoning, paragliding, ziplining, mountain biking, bouldering, fishing, bungee jumping, and much, much, much more. Though, it's hard to imagine now, the mountainous area above the river once hosted some of the fiercest fighting in World War One. As you explore the region, you'll likely come across several monuments dedicated to the World War One soldiers. If you're looking for a change of pace, head to the museum in town to Kobrid for your military history fix, which I do recommend whenever you're in an area and it's got that sort of history. As much fun it is just to throw yourself down rapids, to go paragliding and mountain biking, you should always think about the history of an area and be open-minded to learn as much about it.
Couldn't agree more. Talking about learning, it's always good to learn more about wine tasting. So you can go wine tasting in Goriška Brda. In recent years, Slovenia has built more of a reputation for wine. To a large degree, the reputation is based on its wine from Goriška Brda region, BRDA. Near the Italian border, this nodule of goodness is an expanse of vineyards covering rolling hills, extending to the horizon and only broken by the occasional perched village. There are many vineyards to visit and taste vintages. In the community of Seglo, the Simsik and the Movia vineyards are both top-end vineyards and have had much to do with Slovenia's ascension in the wine world. Just north of the village of Dobrovo is the Klet Brda winery, and this is a cooperative of some 400 families, and you can take a tour of the cellars and taste many of its varieties. My experience of vineyards and going to these tours is always good. I don't think it's something that I'd necessarily
You almost always learn something new.
Yeah.
Well, you'll always learn something new about at least the vineyard.
Yeah,
exactly. You're going to hear the same thing every now and then about how wine grows, how it's made.
And that's what I'm saying. It's not something that I'd want to go to the same vineyard more than once, necessarily. But I would like to go to the ones in Moldova again. But I do learn something new, and you always taste really nice wine pretty cheaply. And as you say, you learn quite a bit about it.
Yeah. No. Agreed. So, Morgan, let's jump to it. 3-day itinerary would be nice.
You've been blindfolded, kidnapped, and forced to go for 3 days.
Yeah, I'll be trying to contact the British Embassy to free me. I wouldn't go for 3 days. I don't think. If I went, 3 days, Lake Bled, and then you're probably on your flight home.
So
7 days, then I'm fishing.
So
I'm doing Lake Bled.
I would do Lake Bled.
Going
I would
rafting.
spend a day skiing, and then I'd spend a day in half a day in Ljubljana. That would be my 3 days.
You'd spend a day skiing if you're in Slovenia?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's quite a lot to do. I think it'd be awesome to say you fished Lake Bled.
Yeah, that would be cool.
But then some of the fly fishing in some of the rivers is meant to be just... It's so pretty, and you're in the middle of nowhere. And there's a company which do heli fly fishing, and they fly fish you into the middle of the Alps where no one's near you, and then you fly fish some of the rivers. Looks so cool.
That does.
And you get some of the biggest grayling there that you can get in Europe. Absolutely enormous. That to me is bucket list worthy.
Yeah,
is to go heli fly fishing. That's
so
not really budget travelling, but that would be
what
awesome.
would you do?
See Lake Bled, do the stuff around Lake Bled, and probably fish Lake Bled. That would be a whole day.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah.
At least.
Mm-hmm.
Ljubljana, I'd want to go and see the oldest vine, I think would be quite fun. I'd go and see the oldest fruit producing vine and try the wine.
Mm-hmm.
Cave system would be awesome.
Yeah.
Big fan of caves. Big fan. The gorge. That's quite short. That's quite short. Sadly, I don't have 16 days. Otherwise, you'd be trying to cram in that walk and probably try and cut out some stages.
Yeah. I guess
I'll try and do 2 stages in a day certain parts.
Yeah.
But then, what else would I do? In 7 days.
Would you stay at Hostel Celica?
Unsure. Unsure. I think you sort of have to, but I'd find it tough to. Because to me, it's one of those things. I think it's weird. I think it's weird to stay at one of those places. I probably would enjoy it. It'd be fun. I'd probably still have a nightmare.
Yeah. So
you get rationed.
Yeah, you probably get rationed.
Curfews, everything.
And really plain foods.
Yeah. It's how they charge you a fortune to go there, but they really cut down on there.
Yeah. So out of all the activities we've spoken, which would be your one? If you had, forget travel time, but we'll just call it you're there.
Singular activity.
You're there for 1 day and you can do one of the things.
Oh, yeah, but you've given me options of going to adventure sports in Soccer Valley, which is a lot of things.
That is true.
So something like Soccer Valley, because then you've got everything. Because I could go canyoning, paragliding, zip lining, mountain biking, bouldering, fishing, bungee jumping, and much, much more.
But you could do a lot of that in a day. That is true.
Probably not. Canyoning takes half a day. Paragliding takes a couple hours. Zip lining, not that much time apart from getting there. So a good few days doing that.
Paragliding you can do in an hour if you're pretty much there.
You try and cram as much into
Bungee jumping you can do in that's 10 minutes once you're there.
Yeah, once you're there.
Yeah, but it's all in the Soccer Valley.
I don't know. The wine intrigues me.
Yeah.
It really intrigues me because I haven't had Slovenian wine. I can't imagine it being good.
But I was just going to be similar to Italian wine, isn't it? Because it's going to be the same ground, it's similar climate.
Not the same. I don't know.
That's why the English sparkling's so good, because we've got the same clay as Bordeaux.
Yeah, but now we're getting warmer.
That as well. That's also helping.
But we do bring their grapes over. I don't know. I think the Slovenian wine really intrigues me. But I probably still would want to spend time in the rivers or the lakes.
In the water.
Because then you're really seeing natural Slovenia.
Yeah. For once, I think I probably agree with your...
Well, and like rafting,
choices.
okay, if you went rafting for a full day, you can cover kilometres along the river and see a lot.
Yeah.
If you go for a proper adventure rafting session, you could cover an obscene amount of distance in a day. And that would be really cool.
Yeah.
So I think spending that time on the rivers or around the lakes is quite prime.
Yeah. And Lake Bled would be really cool to go because it's just so picturesque.
As well, no, I do wonder how busy it is.
I was literally about to say that, but which I think
because like Lake Como in
Lake,
Italy is rad.
Which I think is why Lake Jasmine is quite good because it's going to be
It's
a
like
lot
the
less
hidden
busy.
option.
Yeah, it's a hidden version.
Yeah,
but you don't get the church in the middle, but it's still outside.
No, Lake Bled's just famous.
Yeah, famous.
It's just famous.
Just famous.
So when are you going to Slovenia?
August. Doing a lot of my travel in August.
Just going in August.
Yeah, apparently.
Just gonna go.
I am now, apparently.
Right?
I don't know. Probably.
You'll have to video it.
Yeah.
You're going to Lake Bled.
Yeah.
And you're going to throw loads of red dye into it.
Yeah. No, I'm just going to bleed in it.
Let's roll the outro.
Okay. Roll the outro.
Yeah, let's make it happen. I hope that you can handle going on adventures, best kept secret travels. Yeah, all over the globe, having fun, you know the deal. Amazing secret locations, hang out with Morgan and Will. Educate and entertain, haggle in the market, sharing their experiences. Time to get it started. Let's go.